Hey, Mark Rodriguez here. This is my review on the new episode of Ninja Turtles, Transdimensional Turtles, which is of course where the Turtles of the 2012 Nickelodeon series get to meet the classic 80s Turtles and this big mishmash here. And yes, this review will have lots of spoilers because it's just one episode. It wasn't like a movie or a two-parter, and they really crammed a lot of stuff in what they possibly could in between 20 and 22 minutes. So it is very hard to explain without spoiling most of the episode. So be warned, spoilers. So anyways, the basic plot is that the Turtles, the Nickelodeon Turtles, were sucked into the cartoon world of the 80s by the 80s Turtles because the 80s Krang teamed up with Kraang Sub-Prime from the Nickelodeon show, and of course the entire Krang race in general, and they got these dimensional portal things in different dimensions, and they gotta stop it before all the turtle dimensions get destroyed. And yeah, well, basic thoughts is that unfortunately it is very familiar to Turtles Forever. I do know the whole dimensional crossover thing, you know, but they didn't have to go with almost the exact same plot where they had to save the dimensions. They could have just did something I don't know, just saving the world or something, but not going again into the whole realm of saving the entire reality. I mean, we have had lots of crossovers in the past of other series and movies, and they're never about saving the entire universe or reality or whatever, you know. So I don't know why the Turtles had to kind of repeat that. And then Krang mentioned, 80s Krang, just so you know, mentioned that there's 3 of those devices, and one device was in the Channel 6 building in the 80s cartoon, another one was in the Channel 6 building of the Nickelodeon show, and another one was, of course, in the Prime Dimension, back to the Mirage comics. Again, it's very similar to what we saw in Turtles Forever, and again, the same thing, that if those turtles die, then all the other turtles die, and all that kind of stuff. So it was kind of sort of repetitive, you know, a little bit. As for the Turtles themselves, the 80s Turtles, you guys are probably curious how they were treated as compared to Turtles Forever. Well, actually, they were treated a lot better. Basically, they were very in character. Well, first of all, of course, it helps a lot that they had the original voice actors. All the guys from the old show came back to do this one. And also Krang. Krang was also voiced by the original person that voiced Krang in the old days, which is kind of cool. And, yeah, the Turtles, they acted like themselves. Yeah, they kind of poke fun of how lame they fight when they were fighting in the 2D world, if you want to call it like that. But, I mean, that's kind of sort of like it was in a cartoon. But to be honest, they did kind of make fun of Leonardo whipping out his swords and then just doing wimpy-ass kicks against Krang and stuff like that. But to tell you the truth, all the cartoons, even this one does the same thing. When the Turtles whip out their sharp weapons and they're going to use them on people that not robots, but actual people that can, you know, bleed and stuff, they do jump kicks and crap instead of actually using the weapons to slice and dice. So, you know, you're never going to see them slice Fishface's hand off or slicing Dog Pound's head off or nothing like that. You know how it is. But, yeah, and then, you know, to make it goofy, Leo does weird kicks that don't even connect. Krang just trips over himself like an idiot. You know, Raphael slices a fire hydrant, and then Michelangelo ties a grappling hook, his famous grappling hook, so that Krang could trip up. And even Nick Raphael's like, wow, guys, this is really lame, you know. So yeah, they kind of poke fun of that. And of course, same old thing, they kind of poke fun of how they have to initialize belt buckles, and you know, how they're kind of silly compared to the more serious Turtles of now. And they did the same joke with them just running out in public to try to get pizza while being explained, no, you can't do that here. Because yeah, in the 80s cartoon, I mean, in the later seasons, they were pretty much almost celebrities. They could walk around sometimes, you know. It was kind of weird. They did kind of mishmash. Some episodes, they were famous and could walk around. Other episodes, they still had to wear the trench coats. I don't know. But, yeah. But, it's kind of hard to do it because the Turtles had their little quirks from the 80s, and it's kind of hard not to bring up the same jokes because it's the same pair of turtles, the same guys. If it was like a crossover between the Nickelodeon show and the 2003 show, then you would have had all new jokes and stuff to rib them on because, yeah, they're also different. But, anyways, other weird things. The weirdest thing of all in this episode was that they did the thing where, I guess, Krang, 80s Krang, was originally, I guess, one of the Krang from this show and this dimension. And apparently, if you remember the backstory in the 80s, Krang was banished by Dimension X, and that's how he ended up here, the Technodrome, Shredder, and all that stuff. So they make it like like Krang came from this Dimension X, the Nickelodeon Dimension X. And I guess since he was such a screw-up and whatever, Kraang Sub-Prime, banished him to the 2D 80s world. Like, what? And that's just so weird. So that's like the most random thing ever they just made up. And then like in the end episode, when of course the good guys gotta win, it's like, you're a screw up, you're a dumbass, whatever, you're getting banished back to the 2D dimension. And Krang's like, no. And it's like what the fuck? It was like the most random thing ever, the most random way to connect this cartoon into others. It's like, no, you watched the old cartoon. Krang did not come from some other 3D world or whatever. And the weird thing is that Krang wanted his body back in the old cartoon. So did he have some kind of more badass robotic looking body in before, and now he settled for this weird giant guy in the red Speedo body? Like, I don't know. It's just so weird. It's like I kind of like, it's interesting, but I kind of felt they shouldn't have gone there. Like, no, they're two completely different universes. They don't have anything to do with anything. Don't do weird bullshit to try to connect them. So there's a segment, like I said before, the Turtles do meet the Mirage Turtles, and it's very quick though, and it's very weird how they did it. It was like a literal comic book. Like Donatello, both Donatellos go here, and they literally jump panel to panel, and they did it like so clever. They actually grabbed like the actual comic book panels of Turtles, like Mirage TMNT #1, and just kind of like cut and paste the little figures. When the turtle jumps, it's one of those figures when the turtle backflips, so it animates in that panel by panel style. And like it's like I've seen the first issue so many times, I recognize each and every single panel they use. Like one of the ones where Raphael was diving down to attack some guys or something, they use that image of Raph to signify that he's dashing down on them. It's just weird, very, very weird, and very, very trippy how they did it. It was kind of like, I don't even know what to say if I liked it or didn't like it. Like, I would have preferred had they actually spoken or something, but yeah, they did it very different. It was like quite literally inside a comic book, And other things, what else can I say? The Turtles, like I said, the 80s ones were more in character. And this one, Leonardo was actually the leader, because in the Turtles Forever, they were so busy laughing. Like, that's another thing. They did not laugh like idiots. They acted kind of goofy and silly like we would expect them to, but they still knew the severity of the situation. While in Turtles Forever, they were just laughing like idiots over anything. Even Leonardo, it's supposed to be the most serious one, was still laughing like a dumbass in Turtles Forever. Here, they had a joke where Leonardo, the 80s Leonardo, gave all the orders and all the turtles spread out, while regular Nickelodeon Leonardo was just flat out ignored. Like, hey, I'm the orders guy. So that's kind of funny. They did good. And yeah, well, the Turtles did act goofy in the 80s, whatever. Once they went to the 3D world, they were kicking ass. They were doing some sweet moves there, so that's kind of good. They give more credit to the 80s Turtles. They were not useless. Because the bad thing is that if you notice in Turtles Forever, the Turtles, after their big introduction scene and all that stuff, except for Donatello, because Donatello did make the portal stick thing, the other Turtles, they were just there. They didn't do anything useful for the rest of the movie. They were just there to be there and to be like goofy or whatever, but like what, And here, they were actually a lot more useful, like in actual battles. So it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool doing that. And one other thing I want to address also is that since this takes place in the Nickelodeon show, and of course it has a very strong continuity, currently in the season, the Turtles are in space. In the last season, it ended that the Triceratops attacked. There was a black hole machine. The Turtles had no choice but to team up with the Shredder to stop it. And during this, Splinter actually got killed by Shredder. And then of course the whole world ended. And the Turtles, April and Casey and Fugitoid, are now in space. And apparently, if they do whatever they gotta do, they will somehow, I guess, turn back time and stop it from happening or whatever. So at this time, the Turtles are of course sad that Splinter's gone. So when this crossover happened that takes place a couple of months back, the Turtles are back when Splinter was still alive. So there was a lot of emotional feelings there of them seeing Splinter alive again. And there was a scene where Leonardo, it was hard to explain how to explain that we came from the future or whatever. He was trying to somehow talk or warn Splinter that you're gonna die soon, please be careful or something. So that had unexpected emotional weight otherwise, you know, the rest of the cartoon is just all the silly crossover stuff. But yeah, it was pretty cool how they still did that, because I kind of thought, I was saying, wait a minute, if they go back to their lair, aren't they going to see Splinter alive again? And I'm glad that they touched on that, and I'm glad that they kept it, you know, like emotional. It wasn't all goofy, silly stuff. It was emotional, you know? And, yeah, and the last thing I do want to mention is that the episode actually does end, like, it connects itself with the Turtles cameo and the end of the Wormquake, where they fight the worm and you actually see Tiger Claw. So that was kind of clever. It's kind of clever how they tied everything together. And so basically, bottom line, I loved the episode. It was a lot of fun. It was very cool. I like the 80s Turtles got more respect this time. You know, they still made fun of them. They still like a cheesy, you know, cheesy old cartoon for kids that couldn't show violence or whatever. So it's kind of cool. But they were still respected. They didn't look like idiots. They didn't laugh like every 5 minutes or did noogies or other stupid things. They still acted pretty much like themselves, and I think that the fact that the actual voice actors from the past came back really helped a lot. I really liked that when they were in the 80s cartoon, they had all this background music that wasn't like quite like it, but it was very close to imitating several of the soundtracks that we heard in the old Turtle show, and they actually played the 80s Turtle theme when they appear and all that stuff. And like, one thing I didn't notice until later, Krang actually fought a bit like he does in the Turtles in Time arcade game. He shot out a rocket thing like he does in Turtles in Time, and he had the big wings again like in Turtles in Time, which are two things that he never did in the actual 80s show, but he did do it in that classic video game. So that's like a shout out to you gamer fans out there too. That's pretty awesome. So, and yeah, like I said, the Mirage thing, it was very clever. I still don't know, like maybe I would have preferred him to actually talk and move, but it was just so clever how they did it like that, you know. But yeah, so bottom line, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I just wish it wasn't a two-part episode, because everything was so rushed, everything was so crammed. The characters were literally running around and bouncing from dimension to dimension because there was barely any time. It's like, oh my god, we got 22 minutes and we gotta still have time for stupid commercials and crap. So yeah, this episode would have probably had a bit more time to breathe and a bit more time. Like maybe we would have seen Splinter and April again from the 80s or something like that, you know? But, and another thing, everyone expected this crossover to happen after the whole space stuff, but no, it still happened during this space arc. So, you know, that was pretty interesting. So anyways, guys, that's all I gotta say. It was a lot of fun. It was pretty cool. If you guys haven't seen it yet, then forgive me for the spoilers. I'll put a warning up there, the spoilers and whatever. But yeah, it's a pretty cool crossover. If you're a fan of the old Turtles, you'll love it. And another thing, I also found out that later down the line, they're going to do another crossover, because they already announced that they're going to bring back Shredder, be up in Rocksteady. I don't know the guy's name though, because we do know that Uncle Phil unfortunately passed away. But some other guy's going to voice the Shredder, and of course be with Rocksteady. Well, if you guys didn't notice by now, the old Leonardo also voiced Rocksteady. The old Donatello also voiced Bebop. So those voices are covered. It's just Shredder that's a problem. But yeah, they're going to make another crossover episode later down the line, and we'll have to see how that one comes out, you know? So anyways, guys, Mark Rodriguez here. Pretty cool episode. Kawabunga Booyakasha. And yeah, see y'all next time.